Hey guys, welcome back to What's New Lads Time to Talk. This is episode, I want to say 9, or is it 8?
8.
Sick chat, lads. Episode 8, no worries. We're back again.
You're supposed to know this, mate.
You should know.
It's one of them.
Idiot.
Yes, one of them. So yeah, thank you everyone that's been. Thank you to everyone that has been keeping up to date with all of our, obviously video stuff like that, keeping up with football fix, etc. This week we have myself, Luke, Josh Brown, Theo, Benjamin, Martin, and Naim. How's everyone doing, guys?
All good, bro.
Good. Pretty dandy, man.
Nice. The theme of this week's podcast is something that we didn't release on the Instagram, but something that's happened very recently that we want to obviously talk about, and it's the interview that, everyone's talking about. Do you know what I mean? I think I've read a figure where like millions upon millions of people have been to watch it, and it is the interview between Harry and Meghan with Oprah Winfrey, discussing obviously everything that's going on at the moment with the royal family. The reason that we wanted to do this because obviously one, it's current and we do want to keep up to date with everything. But also, we thought that they tackled a lot of issues, and they raised a lot of issues within not only society but also the royal family, and we have our opinions on that as well. So yeah, obviously in usual fashion, what is new, lads? How's everyone's weeks? Obviously, Naim, you're a week off work. How's it rekindling your love back with your lady? How's it been?
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been a nice week. Just chilling. A week away from work, which is nice, and see the girlfriend. So yeah, it's been a nice week. It's been positive. Lots of positives, and back to work next week.
Nice. It's not a post-match interview, by the way, mate. Do you know what I mean? You can be a little bit more excited.
So it's not very COVID secure, is it, Naim?
We'll get him in a second.
Again?
Wasn't following the COVID guidelines, was it?
On to the next question, please. Next question.
No questions. Luke, how you been, mate?
Yeah, all good, bro. I got a day off tomorrow, so I'm glad about that.
Right, Martin, you?
Yeah, a couple of runs, did some conferences, got busy with work.
In other news, water is wet.
Did I mention I'm running a marathon? I think not.
Yeah. Link in the description. Right, kicking this. Actually, I'm a pretty upset, lads. Obviously, no one's asked me how my week's been.
You didn't ask me either.
Yeah, I know what you do, and that's nothing.
This isn't about you, it's about the viewers, yeah? People do actually care about me.
All right. Theo, how's your week been, mate?
Oh, it was actually really bad. Started off, got a lot better. I'll disclose that in the future, potentially. Yeah, that's all.
Nice.
Now I'm just.
What about you, Josh Brown, mate?
Yeah, it's been all right. I'm exhausted. Been up since the early hours today. It's the problem with my company's main head office is in Australia, so I had to get up for 6:30 a.m. meeting. But looking forward to going to bed and still enjoying the week.
Again, not a post-match interview, but we'll take it. We will take it.
How's your week been, Greg?
Well, I started a new job, lads.
Hey.
Yeah, I lost it. No, it's been really good, actually. Again, I don't want to sound like an interview, but it was actually a bad start to the week, but it has picked up for the second half. I'm really happy about that. I'm doing finances, that sort of stuff. But yeah, glad to be back in the routine of waking up, going to work, working hard, coming home, feeling knackered. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm excited. But enough about me, right? I'm going to get into it. So Luke, take it away.
Right, I'm going to start. The first question I want to jump into is, do you even think the royal family are important anymore? I want to start with Naim. What's your opinion on that?
I'll be honest with you, the only contact I've had with the royal family is seeing the Queen's face on notes. That's the only significance I see, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah.
I mean, invited
apart from that, no. No, I haven't yet. But no, I don't think they're significant anymore, to be fair. Like, to be fair, what impact have they had on my life? Nothing. I've not met them, not spoken to them. I don't really know anything about them apart from this obviously the interview. But yeah, they're not significant at all.
And then Martin, what do you think about
that? I'd agree to an extent. I think obviously growing up as a late 90s kid, like you kind of get this impression that the monarchy is this big important thing that runs the country and has all these ultimate powers that they never really flex because they're too big for that. But I think they've become more and more irrelevant as the years have gone on, and they've obviously had these very dodgy dealings that have come out in recent years as well. So it's it's very suspicious overall. But I agree with Naim. I think they're getting more and more irrelevant as time goes on, and soon enough they might just be toppled.
After us saying it's irrelevant, I just want to say something. You do know, I've been doing my research, obviously, because that's what I do. You do know the Queen can veto any law that's made.
Yeah, she's the
When was
last
the
one
last
that
time
passes
she
it
used
off.
that? But when was the last time she used that power?
Sorry, my research stopped that, bro. I can't go any further.
To be fair though, it's not something she's meant to use. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, politics would just be on her agenda.
Actually, no, I do know. I heard it.
Here we go.
It was okay. I don't know the exact date, obviously, but it was a couple of years back to hide her finances. She had a law to hide her finances, like that she didn't need to disclose, whereas the initial law was saying that she had to disclose it because their family's worth like 88 billion. Like,
I
it's
don't know about
mad.
billion,
crazy.
maybe like,
Bro,
don't know,
I'm
800.
telling you, it's
If you include all the land they own and all the swans,
she's the
All the
richest.
swans.
She's the richest
fucking
woman in the
shit
world.
ton of swans out there.
But I mean,
they add up.
that's why I think we got to stay as well. I know we're saying they're irrelevant as the day-to-day kind of life, but there's still great importance, like in terms of their positions. You know what I mean, a lot of people still.
Why they have great importance though?
Because a lot of people still respect
what do they do? Is it just because of the tourism? Is it just because of that like aspect of, you know, everyone knows who they are? That's who Great Britain are when we've got a queen.
Like I think like years ago, like the royal family, it's a big thing like in history, and I feel like now they kind of just try and continue it on because that's kind of like the history of like Great Britain. And for them, it's like, oh, the royal family, they've done this, they've done that. Nowadays, people don't really care. People aren't really bothered. They don't have a massive effect on us on our day-to-day lives that we know of anyway. So
yeah, I mean that's pretty true. Go on, Josh. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, what I was gonna say, I think I'd sort of split it a bit where I can see how they're sort of in this like ever-changing world and much more sort of forward-thinking world. They are becoming a bit irrelevant per se, but I can still see their value. If you know what I mean.
What's their value?
Like as in
Martin don't like the Boyles, you can tell already.
You just said
no, but obviously you've got the tourism. That's like the first sort of
we've covered
thing
tourism.
that anyone goes to.
Apart from that.
That's sort of relevant. But also I think the fact that they sort of the Queen can veto laws and that they do have this sort of if I can think of a better phrase, divine power, I think actually kind of helps, and it kind of it helps keep sort of the politics a little bit in check, or it has the potential to, especially where our political system is becoming so polarized at the moment. I think there could come a time where that is sort of needed, so you don't have one party just trying to pass laws that are purely for them.
It'd be a mad thing if they actually stepped in and did something, though, wouldn't it? That'd be an occasion.
Oh yeah, it would be, but I think having that sort of, I guess you'd call it a safety net, is you never know when you're going to need it type thing.
Just to follow on from that, Josh, I think the thing is, you say about like just parties controlling like laws and things. I think the Queen and the royal family will back up anything these parties would like to pass, because realistically, the laws that they want to pass are all things in favor of sort of like the upper class people, which is, do you know what I mean? Pretty much all MPs and the royal family. And we know people like in power in our country, they will do anything to make their lives better. They're not people like us, like working class or middle class people. So they don't really know, do you know what I mean? They don't know the struggles that we go through on a day-to-day basis. So they just kind of do things that benefits them and don't really care about sort of people below them.
Yeah, I do see that. I think obviously in theory it should work because the Queen shouldn't be political and she stays out of political issues.
I think we should go on to like the first point of kind of the interview. I want to know something. It's not actually the interview, it's to do with the people in the interview. This is quite a controversial question actually, so if some of you don't want to answer, I understand. But I wrote down, if Meghan was white and like Kate, would this even be a point that we're talking about?
No.
No,
Like,
100%.
I genuinely, like, it might be a short little discussion that we have on it, but I genuinely think that if she was white and like Kate, this wouldn't have even occurred. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be on the news. There wouldn't have even needed to be an interview because
Yeah.
it just would have been the norm, which is wrong.
I agree, because the thing is, if you look back in sort of like British royalty, do you see any black people? Do you
No.
see anyone that's non-white? Do you know what I mean? I feel like this country is based off of Great Britain, this Great Britain, that all of the sort of English, British, how would you say, sort of people of power, they're all white people. So do you know what I mean? For their royal family, oh my God, you've got a person of color. No, oh, do you know what I mean? You've got a person of color involved in your family. Oh, that's against the grain. That's not what has been going on for the last however many 100 years.
Yeah, I think that's a vital point because in my eyes, yeah, I don't know if this seems naive, but they should have used this to their advantage to actually get close to the people more. Do you know what I mean? Like, they could have made themselves so well respected by accepting something like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why they wouldn't, because they could have used it in the future as like just to set kind of, I don't even know what
Standards.
Yeah, to set standards for the future. Do you know what I mean? Because all they see is a bunch of white people being at the top of the pyramid in the country. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
It's a tradition, isn't it?
yeah, it's a tradition, and traditions like people don't like breaking them, but you've got to move with the times as well. I think they're so stuck in their ways, which is why I think the whole reason for the interview has come across, because they needed to get out of that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so it's obviously always going to be one of the main focuses when anyone talks about this, but it's the race factor. I want to know your guys' opinions on whether you think it's true. There's a lot of stuff on the internet saying they wouldn't say that. You saw it with Piers Morgan on This Morning. Like, I don't believe a word she would say. But what's your guys' opinions on it?
I mean, I think as any sort of accusation, there's no smoke without fire. I feel that Harry and Meghan are in a position where, obviously, from hearing the interview, they never wanted any of this to happen. Harry only wanted to get his he just wanted to live a normal life. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't ask to be a prince. He was born into it, and now that he's met the love of his life, he just wanted to, in the easiest way possible, remove himself from it. Do you know what I mean? Because, like you said, you have to commit your life to service and whatnot.
I think the thing is that it's difficult, yeah, because being a minority and sort of marrying into or being in a relationship with someone of a white family, that can be like pretty intimidating, you know, like especially of someone. Do you know what I mean? She's not English. She doesn't know all the culture here. She was saying about like when she met the Queen, like she didn't know how to curtsy and stuff. She had to learn like minutes before. So it's a whole like different culture shift for her, and it can be quite intimidating. Like it's in like modern day, it's actually hard to try and. This might be controversial. It might annoy some people, but I feel like you're nervous to meet people as a minority, just in case they've already got like a what do you call it?
A judgment.
Yeah, a judgment
Stigma.
of you based off of what you look like, and that's something that like people go through every day. Like whether you know it or not, people are going to judge you. They think, oh, he's with a mixed race girl. Like, oh, I've heard that they're aggressive. They get angry. They do like. Do you know what I mean? It's just like the stereotypes and stuff. It's not. And it's so easy to judge people off stereotypes. Like everyone does it subconsciously, but I feel like for them it's such a pride thing that the royal family is white and all this, and like that's something that's what they're built on. So,
but yeah, Theo, no, exactly. Like, I think the judgment that people face when they are from like an ethnic minority is we see it every day. Do you know what I mean? You see casual racism so often in group chats. If you're in group chats with lads, like it's just there. Like, it's not right, but it's always been there. I mean, I can see, I understand the whole interview, why they've done it. I just think the good thing is they was always respectful. Do you know what I mean? They never, like, they threw them under the bus, but they didn't throw them under the bus. Do you know what I mean? They never actually went that far. I think it was they done it the right approach, really. I mean, in terms of
For
going
their situation.
yeah, they've done what they could, and I don't think they needed to go all the way to like Oprah, but I mean,
I think they got.
The-
If I might interject, I think they must. I don't know. I feel like they had to at that point, because
So-
when I think they've been put in their position where they've been so ostracized by the UK and our society that they've had to go. They've basically just fled to America and thought, screw this. I don't want to be part of this anymore. And to be, they got so much abuse for just leaving leaving the monarchy and trying to be more in that public service unit. And I think, the only way to get it out there is, going to the biggest interviewer in the world, Oprah Winfrey, and getting it all out on the table, making sure everyone's aware of exactly what's going on, because there are some things that really aren't right and some things that really need to be out in the open for everyone to hear.
Yeah, I agree with that, because if you think about it, years of lies, years of stories, years of rumors, like, do you know what I mean, about the whole thing about her making Kate Middleton cry? Like, she said that it was the opposite way around, but do you know what I mean? You hear stories about yourself all the time. You hear this and that. She even said, like, she was like, there were certain times she wasn't allowed out of the house, or like the royal family advised, oh, this isn't a good idea. So it gets to a point where you think, I can't live like this. Like, I don't blame them at all. And I think the interview was probably the best way to get everything out there honestly as well.
Yeah, I mean, this sparked a lot of debate when we were talking about it in like our weekly meeting. I mean, it was we had good conversations about it. I think in terms of the protection that was taken away, what do you lot think about that? Do you think that was like unnecessary? Do you think
Yeah, of course, man. It's messed up. Like, so messed up. Like I mentioned, he was born into being a prince, so like he's always going to be the Prince of England. And obviously, considering what happened to like his mum, etc., like, or any royal, you need to be protected because you're a target. Do you know what I mean? And then from seeing the interview, that the fact that he had to employ his own security and stuff like that, and I just think it's so messed up. Like, if anything, you're making the situation worse. Now, I understand, if they've been, ridden of their like title and stuff like that, I understand there's certain restrictions now. But for example, like, to see like the Queen, like his grandmother, have, I assume, was like the final say, or like a lot of his own family members have that final say of like, listen, we can't protect this guy because he's bad for our image. It's like, do you understand what you're doing? Like,
yeah, I don't think it's not just the family as well. It's the whole atmosphere of what it is to be in the monarchy as a whole and be part of the palace. Like, when you're born into it or when you wed into it, you're not just getting married. You're pretty much shining like your life away. Like, you're becoming part of that. And they've had to they've obviously had to protect themselves and they go back and use these traditions to sort of manipulate it into a way where they're just, I don't even know what they are anymore, but to me, there's complete bollocks. Like, that's why the monarchy is becoming more and more irrelevant, because of these outdated tactics that have just lost their way in the public view, and they're so disconnected by this point. It's horrible, to be honest. I'm not a fan of it at all.
So I think you can tag it to sort of the earlier point as well, of where they sort of missed an opportunity here, and I think that's one of the places where they've fallen short of the opportunity they had in front of them to really sort of, unify the family and sort of show that they are more with the times and that sort of thing as well.
Show that connection with the public, especially.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I was just going to say about them removing security. I think them not liking Meghan in the first place, and then the fact that they was like, oh, we're going to step back from our duties as royals or whatever it was, then just gave them an excuse to say, okay, no security. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they wanted to take that away before. But them saying, oh, we're going to step down, then it's like, oh, okay, well, fuck it now. Do you know what I mean? We really don't like her anyway. This can sort of be like the cover up to say, oh, we don't have to provide security anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's your family. Like, how do you not rate your family like that?
Because, I mean, from what I've like read and whatnot, it ain't no normal family, mate.
No.
Like, it's not like you'll sit around for like tea and have like potato smileys and whatnot. But I think because she's, Meghan's, again, not like going against the grain, but because it is something different. Do you know what I mean? They hate it, and it's obviously built on the backbone of like hundreds of years of traditions. And the one person that you can relate to is obviously Princess Diana. I don't know if you guys have seen documentaries about her or anything like that. Obviously, like when like they divorced, her and Charles, like they hated her and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's because she'd done what she wanted to do. She wanted her kids to have a normal life. And there was one interesting point in the interview where it was about the security actually, and I think Harry used the money that his mum left him to finance his security. And he said like it's weird because I feel like she saw this coming and she's been with me through like this whole process. And he kept mentioning on and on again like history repeating itself, and if anything, I'm trying to find the word for it, but it's like the fact that he's doing the most he can to protect his family. The fact that they've then got rid of his security is almost ironic of like what happened to her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to do good, which in then turns bad. I'm sure there's like a word for it, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Oh, that's it, like foreshadowing or whatever. It's foreshadowing what could potentially happen. Like it's so messed up. It's so messed up.
I feel like the main issue with that family is that they're not a family. They're a business. Do you know what I mean? They run like a business. It's like something out of a TV show. Do you know what I mean? They don't run their family like a normal family. Everything they do is for their image and for, do you know what I mean, the royal status, not, oh, I love my family, so I'm going to look after them. It's for, oh, this goes against everything that we do. So
yeah. Well, they call it duty of service, don't they?
Yeah.
Like everything's for duty of service.
It's funny how like Theo was talking about TV shows, because what I was going to say was nowadays it's not even about the royal family, if I'm being honest. It's about the media, because you wouldn't know what's happening behind the royal family, like behind Buckingham Palace. You wouldn't know anything. But the media, I feel like personally, I don't trust the media. I think what goes out in the media is very, very very shifty. I saw the other day, it's controlled, but it's not even that. Like I saw a post the other day of like Kate Middleton. She was eating, I think, avocados when she was pregnant, and it was like praising her for eating avocados. But then when Meghan Markle, she was eating avocados, I don't know what it said, but it was like downgrading her, making her like look rubbish for eating avocados.
Rainforest or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Same thing happened with
yeah. Like
It's
it's a racial problem. It's a racial problem.
Same thing happened with the baby bump as well.
Yeah.
Is that, and the thing is, there's so many actual sort of obviously there's quite a few around Kate and Meghan, but there's also just general sort of tabloid stuff of forgetting the word here, but treating one set of people differently than other people. Double standards, that's it.
Yeah.
It's all ways of driving Meghan out of the family, in my opinion, or out of like the royalty status, which is not what she wanted in the first place anyway.
But in terms of that, like they were asking for privacy, yeah. Okay, this is my point against it. This is one of the only things that I actually think I agree with. Okay, they asked for privacy, but then one, I understand the Oprah interview. I understand you've got to get it out there, but why go to Netflix for a documentary? That's just not like that just doesn't. I can't fathom that. I don't understand.
So,
no, I'm with you there.
I understand.
But there was a point in the interview where they mentioned like lucrative brand deals and stuff like that, but because of obviously Harry mentioned that they took away all his finances and stuff like that, he said like I need to put my family in a position where I can look after them. He said that's why. You know, I believe he said that anyway, but you know, he said, why wouldn't I do this if it's gonna put my family in a situation, pay for my security and stuff like that? So like you say, there's two ends to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're looking for privacy, but you're doing this, but you need to do this because I need to look after my family. And I think with all news, it will get brushed over eventually. Do you know what I mean? And in 5-10 years time, perhaps when Archie is, you know, a teenager, it will be the norm now. Do you know what I mean? People will see like, oh, he's the prince that did what he wanted, and now they just live their lives. Do you know what I mean? I highly doubt it will be talked about in 5-10 years time. For the next couple of years, definitely, but for the next, you know, in 10 years time, I think everyone would just accepted it because that's the sort of time that we live in now. You know, people are so much more accepting, and things will just sort of like carry on.
I think a counterpoint to what you first started talking about with like the whole Netflix thing and stuff like that is they still, he's living off the money that he sort of has been left, but it's not a little amount. I think it's somewhere 25 mil or something like that. And obviously I think they've been paid quite handsomely for the Oprah thing as well.
I don't know. They
We'll
made an
see.
emphasis on not being paid for it at the
I
start of
think
it.
that- yeah, they
Oh,
weren't
did
paid
they?
for that too.
Yeah, they made a massive
sorry.
emphasis on them not being paid for that. So, like, I get that he's got to make money to look after his family. I do, but 25 million, like Josh said, that's not something that, like, you can live off
Yeah.
that. You don't need.
Well, yeah,
But
where
at
it
the
is, I
same
think.
time,
Come on, Greg. Greg was bursting at the seams. I saw it.
I haven't done my research, but just think how much security he has to pay for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
and also he's used to living in royalty. So do you know what I mean? He's not just going to go to Sheffield and live in a little flat there. He's
Yeah,
still
but he ain't getting the
Yeah.
Fez bouncers be like, yeah, Terry, you sort this one out. You know what I mean? It ain't about that. You're getting geezers with guns
And just
24/7.
regarding the Netflix thing as well, I think, like, if you've had all this stuff said about you for so many years worldwide, you want to get your side of the story out there worldwide as well. So, like, I do agree, like, they do want privacy, but at this point, their privacy's been breached so badly. Why not just think, fuck it, let me put all of our stuff out there in response to everything that's said?
Yeah, I think one thing I'd want to add on to my point as well is I don't necessarily say, I'm not necessarily saying he shouldn't, go and do the best for his family, go and make money if he can. But I think, trying to think how to word it, I think that's one of the bits that made me just feel not that sorry for them. And of course, I do feel sorry for them in the other ways, because the other ways are like that. But from a purely sort of financial standpoint, I think and again, it was only sort of slightly jarring, but it is sort of, you've got people in a lovely house complaining about stuff when a lot of people are a lot worse off.
Yeah, but you got to remember as well, they've never seen that. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe Meghan Markle when she was younger, but like in terms of the last 20 years, no. And Harry certainly hasn't seen that. He's had a glimpse of it when he goes to do these visits to places, but he's never really seen pure, like, nothingness. Do you know what I mean? He's always had.
That's not his fault.
No, absolutely not.
No, of course not.
You can't choose what you're born into. But I mean, you've also got to get that I know he tried to break the mold of what is usually done by a royal, but he definitely still could have done more.
Like,
I don't know. I think he's done a fair amount as well, like you said, in the army and things.
Yeah,
he's definitely become like the people's prince of it.
That's just part of what they have to do. They have to serve.
No, what do you mean more though? What do you mean?
I think he could have. There's a lot of things that I think the royal family could do more of. I think they could go lower than they act like they're so prestigious. I know it's part of their image, but like, what's stopping him? He wanted to be different to everyone else. Why didn't he actually make it different instead of just constantly only going to places for like days, like to visit schools in deprived areas? Why don't you actually make a proper difference there and like go into that life?
Well, I think it's just because it's like I say, obviously I don't know the ins and outs, but obviously he eventually got fed up. But I think there are just certain rules you just have to follow, because obviously all the way until you're 18, 19, he had to do what he was told. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's the life they live. We'll never understand it, but I see what you're saying. But I also mentioned they also mentioned, was it their charity called Archwell or something like that? I don't know much about it, but does anyone know what that's about? Or
yeah, I mean, they're using it as everything, aren't they? It's like a charitable organization. They're using it for media content. I think they said they was actually doing a podcast. Did I hear that right in the interview?
Get them on.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Harry, do you want to come on?
But yeah, I mean, so they are doing stuff now, but the royal family's been doing that for charities for years. Do you know what I mean? That's not a change in style. It might just go into different kind of aspects of it instead. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think they're limited as to what they can and can't do because of their obviously like status?
Yeah, of course.
It's that family image. It's like upholding that family. When you're born into it, it's different rules. I think, Greg, you summed it up nicely. It's not the same. When you're born with the spotlight on you, it's hard to shake it off.
But look at us boys, and when we go to bops and fezzes, and we've there's videos of us half naked down by the lake and that. I mean, look at Prince Harry when he got, was he at a pool party or something? It was all over the press.
It was in a hotel room.
Yeah, hotel room or something. Straight away, like that's a young man trying to live his life.
I mean, he didn't
You're
help
being-
himself by dressing as a Nazi, did he? But like, that's,
Yeah, that was a bit.
Oh, did he? Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
there's things
I didn't
that
know
you
that.
do and there's things that you don't.
Racism
Like,
runs in the family.
yeah, trust. No, so I mean, I want to talk about something else as well. The verge of suicide. So obviously, it's a massive, massive thing. Mental health, and I don't know if this is just like a horrible mindset to have, but I genuinely believe that. I don't know if she would have been on the verge of suicide and not get help. I don't see how that can happen. I know I sound like Piers Morgan here, but like that's the royal family. They've got to have like a hospital probably in Buckingham, like some sort of medical service. You know what I mean? If you ask for help, I'm sure you're going to get it.
No, but Brashi, that's the issue though. That's the issue. Because she is royal family, but she's not royal family. Do you get me?
No, but
Like she wasn't treated like royal family.
Yeah,
Surprised
but
me.
we don't
that-
really know that.
Is it
It
more
does
of an
surprise
issue
me though
of
that she's not been offered these kind of services based on like obviously who she's with and her status in society. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because the royal family don't really want her around. And the fact that, do you know what I mean, all it takes is a couple words in the ears of someone else in the monarchy for them to be like, oh, well, do you know what I mean, we can offer like the basic, or
Yeah.
do you know what I mean, just give a couple words of support. So I don't know, it is a weird one.
I think that it's also probably factored into the fact that like you've got to uphold that image. You've got to be known to be a strong like woman. You can't be seen to have any issues. You're meant to be this perfect, elegant princess. Like you can't have mental health issues. Just like, you know, get on with it. This is life. I don't know if you guys have seen any of The Crown on Netflix, but like, there's a bit of a scene with like a young Diana where she's trapped in this manor house and she's not able to get any help and she's not able to leave and she's not able to do this and that. And I guess it kind of relates back to that in a way where you're supposed to be like, you know, you've got to uphold these standards. And though they are very dated, you know, this is how they do things, and that's tradition in their world.
Well, in the interview, Harry did, like they obviously mentioned it, and Harry did say like it's not heard of in the palace. Like those sorts of things are never brought to attention. And he said, I think he mentioned that obviously like it broke his heart and he felt like he couldn't do anything. And he said it's just not something that you ask for because it's never been an issue. And I think that then comes from her coming into the family. Like I mentioned when us boys were like, oh, if we just became footballers overnight, do you know what I mean? It's your brain can't handle it. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, she's only human. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think she's like, you know, lying or anything like that. I think it's so normal because when you think about all the shit that's happened to her in the past 2 years of all the stories, all this and that, mate, of course it's gonna lead to some sort of issue. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And she's not used to it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, it's not
She's
normal. Do you know what I mean?
Everything at once, and it's just like shit. Like how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Look at us, like being in lockdown. A lot, not even just us, but a lot of people out there, you know, have been in lockdown and have suffered really bad mental health. Now I've seen friends, myself, you know, you see it around. But imagine being Meghan, even if she's in a lockdown or not a lockdown, she can't even go out. Imagine she wants to go to the nearest, I will say chicken cottage, but let's be real, the nearest Ritz, and you know, like
Chicken cottage.
some guy comes down, chicken cottage, and some guy comes down and says, "Nah, Meghan, you can't go. You can't go. You need to stay in." She said on the Oprah interview, she was inside for like 3 months. Like she hadn't been outside. That would that would make you go crazy.
Yeah.
So imagine that, and
Definitely.
like it's gonna drain you out.
We saw it, didn't we? We saw it in our own lockdown. Like you're stuck in your house.
Yeah.
We saw what it's done to mental health. We know why we started this kind of thing. So yeah, I do completely get that. Theo, what was you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, obviously, Naim mentioned about lockdown and it being difficult. There was a point in the interview where Meghan said she went to go to meet some friends for lunch, and the royals were like, "Oh, I don't think it's a good idea." And she was like, "You're out. They're out." They had said that she's out too much, and she was like, "I've left the house twice in 4 months." So it seems like, obviously, outside of like COVID, she's always in a kind of lockdown anyway, just because of their image. They don't want to tarnish their image by something that she does. Do you know what I mean? If she goes to lunch and does, I don't know, something that's not that serious, but they take serious.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching this episode. It's been a really interesting one. Again, a few different points, some few controversial, but at the end of the day, it's our opinions. You know, we're not right, we're not wrong, but it's what we see and it's what we interpret it as. And I think it's been an interesting discussion. How do you think it went, lads?
Yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
good.
Yeah, okay, well,
We've all got different opinions, don't we? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, again, it was really interesting, and I like that it was current as well, so we can get our teeth into it. If you did like this video, give it a like, or subscribe, share it as well, give it a comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.
Ow.
Josh always goes like this, blood. At the end, he's
Like
always like
Star
"Yeah,
Trek.
yeah."
Jedi mind trick, you underestimate my power.
Right.